I remember Nash calling me. He said, "Man, I think I can get you this if you want to come down." And I was like, "Wow, that's a lot more money than I'm making right now."
So you got the call from Nash.
Oh yeah. But the fact that they told me you're never going to make money, that was always my chip. Well, Bud. I like that.
That's the new thing for you, isn't it?
No, it is a good name for you, Bud.
I'm okay with Bud.
Bud's
I've been
all
called
right.
worse.
Yeah. Oh, which one's what? Bud or Debo?
Oh, man. I don't know. I have no feelings or pride or anything anymore.
No, you do. You do.
No.
Really, you don't?
No, I really don't. I've been made fun of my whole life. I'm okay.
You're tough skin.
I got a brother that's 10 years older than me and a sister that's 5 years older than me that's meaner than both of us put together. So, I'm good.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm good. How are you, man? I mean, we talk about this a lot. The last time we were in the studio, we batch shoot these videos, and it's been the past couple of days have been
it's old home week.
It's been interesting these last 48 hours or so.
Yes, they have been. Really, really interesting, really fun. Obviously, the podcasts have been fun, but dinner, I really enjoyed dinner. That was just like the essence, really, of what I miss.
Yeah,
is sitting there with my crew and just talking about old times. And even, are you shocked that the Godfather and I did not have any Jack Daniels at all?
Let me tell you something. I owe Vegas a lot of money because it was I put money on.
You took the over.
It was the easy bet.
Right.
Was at least a shot.
Not one.
And Maven Huffman drank more Jack Daniels than all of you.
I'm just saying, man, times are changing.
I tell you what, Mideon, on the other hand, knows how to order expensive bourbon when someone else is paying for it.
I think Tex had the absolute best night that he's had in a long while.
And deservingly so. I mean, the man was on his deathbed not too long ago.
Within the last 2 years, he's lost half his foot. He's been on critical condition with his intestines and everything. He's lost a lot of weight, man.
He has. I mean, to be honest with you, all of you guys have slimmed down. Mm-hmm. Seems like, I mean, Godfather, I told him, we took a break in our shoot to go, use the restroom and get some, drinks and everything else. And I looked at him, I said, man, you are looking amazing. You are walking great. You're getting around great. As long as I've known him, I haven't seen him in that condition. Yeah. So it's good to see him in that.
Yeah. No, we talked a little bit about it, and he's feeling good and making changes in his life, and
your knees are, it seems like, fully healed, and you're back in the gym. You're doing good. Mideon, who had a health scare, he lost a little bit of weight. Maybe that helped. And now
it's got to be easier on his foot. I mean,
and hopefully he starts going in that same path as well of working out and everything else. And Maven looks like he could be on The Bachelor right now.
Dude, yeah, he killed it, man. He's got really good stuff. And Chris,
I was telling him last night at dinner, I was like, man, you need a pot. Like, you could do more with your content. I think you could expand your content and put more stuff out there. Not necessarily the same type of content he's putting, but he could have almost like another separate channel or something of like a podcast or something. And he's very humble,
Very humble. Yeah.
And he was just like, man, I don't have the career and the legacy the Undertaker has to be able to carry something like that. And I'm like, man, he kind of built a brand from scratch. Yeah. To where I think he can.
No, he's definitely, and I mean, I told him during the show, like, he's got the chops to do it, man. He's.
And I think he's got enough of a following now, and I think because you've said this a million times. Y'all wrestlers are a little hesitant. You've got a wall built up. Is this guy going to bring me on his show and try to bury me or something like that? I think Maven's proven that that's not the type of channel and not the type of content he wants to put out. So I think he could bring on people and wrestlers and stuff and have a podcast and be very successful.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's only scratched the surface of what he's going to be able to do. He's just got to be willing to go out and do it, and I think he will.
And just, I mean, I don't know when the last time you've been around him or how much you actually hung out with him, on the road or outside of the ring or what. I mean, y'all had a little bit of a program together, but absolutely a nice guy.
Yeah, yeah. No, that is the one thing that I remember. He was always so much respect, so much again humble and appreciative of everything. And it's good to see that none of that's changed.
Yeah.
So good on him, man. I hope he does well, continues to do well, because he's killing it right now, man.
I'm so happy for him, so impressed with the content that he's putting out, and hopefully everybody is following his channel because it is really good stuff. And we've had Chris Van Fleet in as well, who, I mean, I think in the wrestling space, I mean, he's the guy that we all look at for wrestling podcast as kind of the benchmark.
Yeah, he's definitely another great interviewer.
What a professional.
Yeah, really, he really was.
And another nice guy. Like that table at dinner, I mean, you just looked around and it's just good people there.
Yeah, yeah, it was good. So good that we were the last ones there.
It was to a point where, like, I even waved over the waiter and you were like, "What are you doing, man?" I was like, "I'm going to tell him he can at least clean the table off." I was like, they're mopping the floors and we still have dirty dishes here. I was like, let's at least have it to where all they've got to do is
just
lock the door. We can all walk out together.
Yeah.
I was like, I kind of feel bad that we're holding up this guy cleaning the tables and everything else at this point.
Yeah, they were really good to us.
They were. Yeah. And the past, as this episode comes out, it's the past few episodes have been really fun to film and to put together and to be around those guys. And I know, especially for you, you don't get to sit down with Godfather a lot of times and just break bread and have a conversation. You got to do that at dinner.
Yeah. Yeah, we were for a while, we were in our own little world, just, talking about our surgeries and our and where we are in our lives. And it's just good, man. It's good for the soul.
Yeah. And I could see on your face it was almost a you were very relaxed last night. Yeah. And there was nothing that was causing that outside of just the fact that you were there with your buddies.
Yeah. Fail safe. Yeah. You always, when you're in those kind of situations, especially in public, you always kind of got to keep your head up and on a swivel, look around who's filming you or who's doing what, and or who's eavesdropping in on your conversation. It was really cool just to sit there and just relax, talk about old times and new times, and things that we plan on doing together, and it was fun. It was a good experience, and I'm glad that we got all those people together. That was
no cameras, nobody came up for pictures.
Yeah,
nothing. I mean, it was just a normal dinner with a bunch of friends, and which was awesome.
Yeah,
and the Carve restaurant was very accommodating.
To say the least. Yes, to say the least. They were very accommodating.
Went over the top for us on that. And speaking of health and losing weight and all that stuff, you get to have those. I mean, you're having conversations about what's next in our life, what's next in our career, because you're healthy enough to where you can do those things, which a lot of guys, unfortunately, in your industry, they're limited because of all the injuries and everything that happen throughout their career. And you guys are very lucky to be able to have options.
Yeah, absolutely. I've experienced some of that myself, especially before I did my knees. This is like, where am I going to end up here soon? Because it's, the limitations were getting to be more and more every day, it seemed.
Yeah.
And like doing the knees, I mean, it sucked doing them both at the same time. But man, on the other side now, I wish I'd have done it. I wish I'd have done it earlier.
Yeah.
Who's to say? I mean, I might have been able if I'd have done it a few years earlier, I might have been able to work on them. I don't know, but it's good now to be able to get down on the floor, get up, and do different things that I was like, this window's closing for me as far as my mobility and everything else. And then, of course, Godfather being a friend for over 35, 36 years, he was in rough shape there for a while.
Yeah.
So it was good to see. It was good to see him moving around, and he freaked me the hell out when did you see him stretch?
Yes.
In the restaurant?
I was like, I thought Diamond Dallas Page showed up.
I asked him if he'd been doing some DDY yoga. And I was like, holy crap. Like, I've known him for over 30 years. I'd never seen him that limber, and and he's a few years older than I am.
He's 63.
I was just like, holy crap. He melted like butter right there.
Yeah.
I was like, jeez.
And the Godfather I've known has always had, he's always got that pimp limp, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
that's good.
Yeah.
That's a shirt.
there you go, the pimp
limp.
limp. But he's the Godfather I've always known is either had a cane or he's had some type of limitation
Yeah.
and some type of pain that he was living in. And to see him over the last few days where it's like, man, he is doing so much better.
Yeah.
And he's, to a point where he's like, hey, come January when you come to Vegas, I want to come to the show. And which is you're putting miles down, walking shot show.
Oh, shot. Oh, doubt. No doubt, man.
He's like, I want to come to that. And I was surprised. I was like, because every year it's always, hey, I want to come. And I'll have him a pass waiting on him.
Right.
And then it always, man, Denise won't let me go, man. My knees, my hip, my back, whatever it might be.
That sucks, man. It does. It sucks when you've had such an active life, and then you get into that situation and you think, everything's shutting down on you.
Yeah.
It makes you think about a lot of things, and you either stay the course and see what happens, or you make changes in your life and you do the things that you have to do to improve your life, and that's what he's done.
Yeah, and that's because of what y'all did for so long. It is Father Time is undefeated to start with.
Yep.
You put your body through hell and back, and that's
Twice.
Yeah,
Exactly.
2, 3, 4 times, a lot of times, and then you also did it in the ring. So,
well, yeah, there's that. Oh, you're talking about. I didn't even think about that part of it.
So in and out of the ring, you guys put your body through hell. But at any point, especially with your knees and all that stuff, did you think, "Oh man, I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be the old guy that can't get around"?
Yeah.
And did that seep in your head?
Yeah, because you don't want to have surgeries. You just, and I've had my share of surgeries, but you just finally you just get fed up with, like, it's strange. Chronic pain is a really strange thing. Like, you don't feel good, but it's your normal.
Yeah.
And it's until you fix whatever it is, because it started in my hips, right? And I was in chronic pain for, I don't know, maybe 12, 13 years. I was in pain. Every step I took, every bump I took, I was in pain. And then finally, I was like, I got to get this fixed. So I get that fixed, and now that pain is gone. It was like a weight lifted off of my shoulders. Like, oh my gosh, I forgot what it feels like to not be in pain. And you can see it. You can see it in my face. You can see it.
Yeah.
You can see it everywhere. So, with my knees now, the doctor looked at my knees, especially my right one, and he says, "It looks like somebody took a hand grenade and put it in there." And he goes, I don't know how you've been not only walking on it day to day, but how you wrestled on it.
Jeez.
And it's just like, unfortunately, I don't know if it's a fortunate thing or an unfortunate thing. I have a very high tolerance to pain.
It could lead to a long-term injury.
Oh, easily.
Having that high tolerance, though, that's the problem.
And it's when you get it fixed, you're like, oh my gosh, like, why have I been suffering like this when I didn't need to? But it's always good for a story, right? Like, oh, did I tell you what the doctor said about my knees?
Yeah. I mean, the knees are in pretty good shape. We saw that in Philadelphia. I mean,
Oh yeah, man, I got a little trot in and everything.
Yeah,
that was a test. I was a little nervous, like, holy crap, y'all! I got to get what? I got to run through the whole bowl of the stadium, and then it's like, I was shocked. Like I didn't blow up. Like my cardio was fine. I don't understand how that happened. And I was just like, I just had to remember how to run though.
Yeah.
It was it's silly as that sounds.
When was the last time you actually ran?
Oh my gosh. Whenever the last match that I had in a wrestling ring, probably.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, and that's hitting ropes.
Yeah.
Man, all my cardio I either do on a rower or an assault bike or create different ways to work on my cardio because my knees and everything were so beat up. But yeah, so I had to. It was like I was a baby giraffe. That's what I felt like running through MetLife Stadium. I felt like a baby giraffe trying to learn how to use my legs.
Or Lincoln Financial Field.
Excuse me.
Last thing we need is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh my gosh,
fans.
MetLife is the Giants. Oh my God, please forgive me, Philadelphia.
Jason Kelsey's going to come down here and
yeah,
he's a wrestler now. So
oh my gosh, I can't believe. Oh my goodness.
But no, it's been fun over the last few days, and hopefully everyone has enjoyed the episodes over the last few weeks that we've put out with these guests.
We deliver, right? They asked, we delivered.
I put out on Instagram, just on the stories, hey, I'm back in studio. Who do y'all want to see in here? And it was the Godwins. Mm-hmm. So we got to get Henry in here.
Yeah.
But it was the Godwins, Godfather, Maven. You know, those were three, big ones that was put out there. So it's I think we've delivered, on that for the people. And I think just like Mark Henry, I think Godfather is a 10-part series of stories.
Again, we only scratched the surface of
well, what's funny is now everyone has seen the episode, but every story was y'all would start leading into it, and it was either, and this may have they may have been edited a little bit, but it was like he would look at you or you would look at him. Can we tell that? Are we?
You go, okay, can we say that?
Are we allowed to say?
Yeah.
Tell that story. Are you okay with us telling that story? Yeah. It is like, let's tell half of it.
Yeah, we do. That was what was so great about being at dinner. That was like there was just like because I told that story at dinner to the table that there's absolutely it wasn't anything that I did. It wasn't anything morally corrupt on my part, but it would be.
It's a story that should stay within friends.
Yes, yeah,
and within that table, right?
Yes.
And I definitely. There's moments when I know I need to look around to see if there's a phone. And
that would not have gone over me telling that story.
No, I looked around and the first thing I looked for was, is there anyone outside of the people at our table that's sitting anywhere near us? And then the second one was, does anybody have their phone pulled out?
Yep.
And luckily, those 2 days were good.
It's so different. This is how crazy and different the world is now. That I actually asked the people at the table for a disclaimer before I told the story.
You did. And
then I just,
you're like, guys, the story could be, offensive. And I just want to, make sure that
everybody understands that I am just telling the story how it happened.
And you were there, but you didn't do what happened, and you didn't,
But it's just a crazy time in the world where I had to ask these, okay, there were people at the table that I didn't know that well.
Yeah.
So I didn't know their backgrounds or who in there. So I just like.
There's a couple of people there that were like,
I'm just telling this story, man. I don't make the news. I just report it. Did you take my advice?
Take your advice?
Yeah.
On what?
The thing.
Oh.
The thing.
The thing.
The thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
BlueChew is part of my daily vitamins.
Daily?
Hey, man.
Good on you, mate.
You know, it's
So
just
the,
it's one of those things, you know.
So the flag, is it full mast?
Oh, it's part of my supplement regiment at this point.
What else are you taking?
Flintstone vitamins and BlueChew. That's essentially it.
That's a good mix.
And barbecue.
And barbecue.
Yep. Those things together have reignited my marriage and has taken our 22-year marriage now to new heights.
New heights.
Oh, yes.
See, I don't steer you wrong, brother.
Brother, let me tell you something.
BlueChew.
I'm listening to your advice moving forward.
Brother, it's the real deal, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's like steroids for your wiener. But legal.
Hey, man, I'm taking my BlueChew and saying my prayers, if you know what I mean.
I see what you did there, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Come on, hit me with one.
Oh,
Let me tell you something, brother.
let me tell you something, brother. When you get the BlueChew in you,
You just chew it and do it.
just chew it and do it.
See?
Oh, yeah.
Easy, but easy now.
Take your BlueChew and say your prayers.
Yeah, like good, man. Well, you're married. You don't have to say your prayers. Like you, hopefully, yeah. It's chew it and do
Hopefully,
it.
I don't have to take any other medication after this.
No, man.
But no, BlueChew is an absolutely great product. And, you know, it's something that, hey, if you just want a little boost in the bedroom,
I'm telling you, steroids for the wiener.
I like.
Can I say that?
I think that should be the new BlueChew slogan. Steroids for your wiener.
Makes it hard and vascular and that's too much. That might have been too much.
Is BlueChew considered a performance enhancing drug?
I would think so. I would think it is.
But
is it? But it's not. I don't think it's banned on the USADA.
It shouldn't be.
No,
it should be encouraged.
It should be encouraged, right?
Relieve some stress, bring some happiness to some folks. That's exactly what you want.
See, it's multiple. It serves multiple purposes.
Absolutely. Why don't you tell our people a little bit more about BlueChew and how they can get some at a discount?
Oh, the discount.
That's the key part.
Chew it and do it. BlueChew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets.
It's just easier.
It is. It's just easy. You just put it in there, you chew it, you do it. I'm just saying. Chewable tablets at a fraction of the cost. You can take them any day, anytime, or night. Ooh. So you can plan ahead. You know, you want to have date night, you know how to finish it off with a dessert. You know what I'm saying? You can plan ahead
with breakfast.
Or be ready whenever the opportunity arises. The process is simple. You sign up at BlueChew.com. You consult with one of the online licensed medical providers. This is no gimmick. This is the real deal.
This isn't gas station boner pills.
No, absolutely. But you know, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And the best part, it's all done online, brother.
Discreet.
So no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, no waiting in a line at a pharmacy. BlueChew's tablets are made in the USA, very important to us, and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package.
Just like mine.
Just very discreet. BlueChew wants to help you have better sex.
Yes.
We all want it.
We all want
it.
We all want it. Bad sex is for the birds.
It is overrated. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. Here we go, baby. Chew it
and do it.
And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try BlueChew free when you use our promo code 6feet at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code 6feet to receive your first month free.
Best price ever.
Free is good. That's a damn good price.
Great price.
Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank BlueChew for sponsoring 6 Feet Under, the podcast, the end all podcast.
Getting back together with friends like that.
Oh, yeah.
There's something special about that, and especially for like you and Godfather. I mean, for 30 something years, and I mean, Mideon came along, some years later, but I mean,
Mideon seems like 50.
Yeah, I think Mideon is every year. It's like dog years with him, right?
Seven.
It's like
for
every one. And I go back to it. I said it just a little bit ago off camera. He is the most interesting man in the world, and people don't even realize it, right?
He's very unique.
He is a unique individual. He walked into that place last night looking like he just left prison, and
he definitely marches to the beat of his own drum, man.
And he educated that restaurant on everything on their menu, the different wines. The line of the night was, he looked over at Maven with that 4 roses, and he's like, all right, take a sip of this. You're going to be tasting some oak in there. And Maven goes, I don't know what oak tastes like. I don't eat oak. And he's like, I don't know what oak tastes like normally. How am I going to taste it in this bourbon or whatever?
Good night.
And Maven, it was funny. He texted me earlier in the day, and he goes, hey, man, is the place we're going to nice? And I was like, kind of, but we're with the Undertaker. I was like, you can just wear whatever you want. And he was like, great. He goes, I'm more of a Bennigan's type of guy, but this should be fine.
Bennigan's. Is Bennigan's still open?
I hope so. I need to show you the picture of my buddy Woody going through his divorce. He gets all of his stuff. He finds a picture of a group of us at a Bennigan's smoking inside the restaurant.
Wow.
Yeah, and early on, but he ends up going to the wrong. Maybe goes to the wrong restaurant last night.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Shows up. He goes, "Who would have thought there was 2 of these?" So the dinner was just. The podcast have been fun telling the stories, but dinner last night,
it was a good time.
It's if there was an ability to record those types of dinners, you can make all the money in the world doing it on something like that.
Oh my gosh,
because it's so fun.
There's stories and there's sub stories and there's outliers and there's everything is going on. And but it all blends together somehow at the end of the night.
And then you look at that crew, and I thought what was funny was you've got that crew, and set in the middle of it was Chris Van Fleet, clean cut, in shape, looking good, everything.
Right. He aged probably 10 years last night.
At that table. And I'm just like, I was like, Chris is too clean cut for this crew. I was like, this isn't. He was a former Bachelor of the Year, Cosmo's Bachelor of the Year.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, Chris Van Fleet.
I wish I'd have known that when we had him on the show.
Oh,
I had some fun with that.
Former Bachelor of the Year.
Bachelor of the Year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's a good-looking guy, smart, well-spoken. He's got all the qualities, right?
Yeah,
and now he's happily married. Got a second kid on the way, and just
good for him, man.
Yeah. But no, it's been a fun few days, and like you said, I'm glad that everybody was able to come in, and
everybody made it in. Everybody, everything came off without a hitch, which is very unusual in this line of work, and especially with us, because again, we say it all the time, but we really don't know what we're doing, and to organize. And I have to, gosh, I don't even want to put this on tape, but
okay,
you actually did a good job, bud.
With what, please?
No, I mean making sure.
Want details?
No, making sure that everybody got in and got where they needed to go, and you were juggling, man. You had a lot of different. I
had a lot of balls in my hands and in the air at the same time.
And I'm glad you've had a lot of practice with that. Not in that sense. Good Lord, people get so upset with that kind of talk. I'm just talking about a lot of what is it? Irons in the fire.
A lot of irons in the fire, which I love. For some reason, I love to keep a lot of irons in the fire at all times in my life. And
you everything came off without a hitch. Everybody had ride. Everybody had their hotels. Everything was done really well. So I want to give you my thank you. And
I appreciate that. It was an easy crew to get together. To be honest with you, they're all pretty low
professional.
maintenance.
Yeah.
Everybody's pretty low maintenance.
And Tex.
Dude, he lands, right? And I text. And his flight got delayed honestly, 6 times his flight got delayed, right? Yeah. So he sat in Dallas for like 7 hours. He's like, I could have just driven from Dallas to
Twice.
to Austin, right? So he's texting me, keeping me updated with everything, right? And I was like, I'll come get you because we were going to land 10 minutes apart from each other.
Right, originally.
Originally.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So he ends up getting in about 5-6 hours after I ended up getting in. And I told him, I said, hey, man, I'll just have a car, come pick you up and everything else. I'm going to go to the hotel, try to get some sleep. I know it's going to be a long couple of days. So he texts me when he lands, hey, I'm at the airport, whatever, get a car for him. He calls me, he goes, hey, do you think this car will take me to Jack in the Box? And I'm like, I have no idea. I was like, just ask him when you get in the car to swing through a drive-thru or something. And he's like, all right. Then he calls me from the hotel. Hey, man, there's a problem with me getting in my room. Well, the hotel was 1.5 miles, 2 miles away from where I'm staying. So I go down there. I get there. He's got like 4 tall boys sitting in front of the lady that's doing everything.
The lady at the desk?
At the desk. And Mideon being Mideon is in full-blown conversation with this lady about a game where you put together a band of dead band members. So like a rock band, right?
That's Mideon.
And he's like, all right, I've got Prince here. I got this, and I was like, and for some reason I engage. I go, why don't you have Jimi Hendrix on lead guitar? I just don't think, and he goes, and he's being, I just don't think Jimi Hendrix and Prince would get along. And he goes, I think that's why. And he goes, I just think Prince overall, with his voice and everything, I think he would be a better, lead to the band than Jimmy would. And I was like, I gotta go to bed. It's 11 o'clock. I was like, I
can't do this.
I was like, I'm just gonna go back. I was like, you're about to trap me.
You're about to trap you into a rabbit hole you do not want to be in.
So, he's just, like he said, he's like a raccoon that you catch, and then you shake the box and let it out.
He ever came up with.
I think the funniest thing is the fact that you convinced him to get an eyeball tattooed on the back of his head.
What?
What led to that?
So he's out there with a lot of his ideas.
Yeah.
Right? And he had something to do with the eye that could see. And I said, oh, dude, you ought to put a giant eyeball on your head.
With this character as Mideon, right?
Yeah. The next thing you know, he shows up and he's got a huge eyeball on the back of his head. And I was like, dude. I was gonna say I was kidding, but then I was like, that's great. That's incredible.
Now he's got this.
He's got a giant eyeball on the back of his head. It's actually pretty cool, but it
fits him.
It fits him, right? Does it not?
It fits
with his
him.
with his little chin spinach going on, and he is very unique.
But he's loyal.
He is loyal. He's a loyal soldier, brother. He is all in on the BSK life and the brotherhood and all of that, man. He loves
you guys so much.
Yep.
I mean, the conversations that I have with him, just us. I mean,
and we're so mean to him.
He's a little brother, right?
Well,
like
he is the little brother, and we love him, and no one else would be able to say the things to him that we say to him.
Yeah.
Without we would stomp somebody, senseless if anybody. We do that to. I mean, all of it. I mean, it's just you've got a group of friends. The things that you say to that group of friends,
nobody else is.
No, there's no way. There's absolutely. It's like Dave and Jody.
Yeah.
They're other friends of mine outside of the business, that the things that we say to each other, if anybody was to say that to David no, there would be a bad scene.
Yeah.
And I think he relishes it. He loves it.
Yeah. He embraces it. He knows his role.
He knows his role.
Group of friends.
But yeah, he is a very, like you said, a very unique individual. And he, like I said, he marches to the beat of his own drum and makes him You know, that's kind of, you know, the BSK. Everybody's a little different, but everybody's it's weird how they mesh, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun having those guys in the studio.
I've enjoyed it, and I enjoyed seeing you interact with them because I felt like you were very comfortable with Bear, Godfather, Mideon, Maven. It was just like, you're a part of a fraternity that nobody else nobody else understands that you're part of.
Right.
Like even Maven said it. Maven said, I had a 5-year run. You know, he wasn't part of BSK by any means or anything like that, but he's still part of that fraternity.
Right.
He's an alumni. Mm-hmm. And I feel like when you guys get together, there's something different there than you experience with people that's outside of that industry.
Yeah. It's almost like what was the old adage, honor amongst thieves kind of thing. I bet, I don't know, man, over the last 2 days, I've spoke more and got to know Maven probably more so than I did, you know, because it was work when he came up, and then the stuff that we did together. But you know, it's just cool to see now how he's taken those 5 years, and now he's turned it into some pretty damn good content.
He's built.
I mean, we've covered that already, but
he's built a brand, and but there was something different in the air from you with those guys that I think it's just a sense of. You said it a minute ago, safe, comfortable.
Yeah.
You feel like you can let the hair down just a little bit. You know what I mean? Like yeah. And you know what? The guys aren't unlike sometimes if you go to dinner with some people, everyone they're asking you questions, they're trying to get stories, they want to take a picture, whatever. In that group, it's not.
Yeah,
the stories are natural.
They all know the stories. Yeah, pretty much. They all know the stories, and a lot of them. You know, the guys, they were there. And so
you got Mideon starting a story. You're going, wait a second, that's not how that. And then Godfather's going, wait a minute, neither one of you are telling the truth.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what's fun about it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you're not the Godfather anymore. You're not the Undertaker anymore. You're not Mideon. You're just buddies.
Yeah.
That. You know, you're reflecting back on that time in, you know, Boise, Idaho, when we all did something stupid together.
Right.
And that's fun. But last few days have been good. And you know, speaking of Mideon and the eyeball on the head and everything else, something I mentioned to Maven last night was, the interesting thing and kind of the fun thing for me doing this podcast is, I left the product when I was watching wrestling at, I don't know, I was 14, 15 years old, outside of watching the WrestleManias and all that stuff with my buddies that, you know, they'd have a party at their house. So I didn't watch a lot of wrestling post 15 years old, we'll say. And going back and looking at his stuff, it was essentially, I didn't know who Maven was until he put out his channel.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, wow, okay. So I got to watch Maven and you work together, which I never knew happened until his channel.
Right.
The other part is I didn't really know a lot about like the Ministry of Darkness. Mm-hmm. So the funny thing is with Mideon was I knew him as the Godwins. I remember the Godwins.
You remember the Godwins.
I never knew that he was part of Ministry of Darkness until a couple of years ago when, and I was like, he's meant, and I knew of the Ministry of Darkness, but I didn't know details. I didn't know why. Like, so I kind of want to touch on the ministry a little bit. Like, first of all, as someone, and I truly don't know this, like, how did the Ministry of Darkness happen? Where did that come from?
So again, it was, I felt like the character needed to evolve, and I wanted to have obviously I wanted the character to be on the show, but I'm also starting to want to preserve, you know, when you've been on TV for so long, you always run that chance of of burnout and washout and losing interest. So I wanted to take the character even darker than where it had already been, but in a different, more kind of a even more sinister kind of way. And I wanted to use lots of imagery and symbolism, and just really push the envelope to what was going to make people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that was, that was my goal. Evolve the character, continue to evolve the character, and I wanted to have, there were guys out there that I knew, like, they were just floating in there in the mix, and they were just having matches. They didn't have any storylines going along, and I was like, well, shoot, man, let me take them into and bring them into the ministry, change their names, and then hopefully it might give them a different kind of a rub down the line.
And then was it guys that essentially you said, man, I see something in them. I know that they've got it. They just need to be put in the right spot or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, and just sometimes you just need a little bit of a spark, and something good will happen. And that was pretty much everybody, minus Mabel. I mean,
It was just, you just don't want to wrestle. Right?
I didn't want to. I didn't want to run that risk again. But two, and to be honest, I mean, he was a huge man, and a very ominous figure.
Yeah.
But it's always funny. Go ahead.
I think his look in the ministry was pretty cool looking too.
Oh yeah. He had the white contacts and the white mohawk and everything else. Now hopefully, I think for Ron and John, it gave them a little bit of a boost. Obviously, the APA, or they went from the acolytes to the acolyte protection agent, APA, and then obviously John went on to his big singles run. But all guys pretty much that I got along with and were on board to do whatever, and we pushed the uncomfortable envelope quite a bit. When you start putting people. When I started putting people up on my symbol, and the symbolism that was kind of, it was the suggestion that I was making there. We started getting heat from a lot of religious people, and complaints and blasphemy and everything else. That's when we knew we had, we had it. We had something special here, because people are uncomfortable by seeing this. Yeah. And it was really cool, all the way up until it became, the corporate ministry.
Making them people uncomfortable, though, you did that from the first night walking out as the Undertaker, though. And the thing is I love the fact that you evolved that character to where you said, they were very uncomfortable the first night I walked out. Now they've become comfortable with the Undertaker, essentially. And, it's people love the Undertaker. I need them. Did you kind of in your mind go, I need to make them uncomfortable again?
Yeah, absolutely. That was the whole intent. That was taking, it went from burying people and their rotting souls and all that into almost more of an occult kind of type deal, and really pushing the buttons of.
Because I think a lot of people, as they're smartening up or whatever to the business at that time, they were like, he's really not getting buried, or he's really not, like he's really not this. Then all of a sudden you start like sacrificing people.
I mean, some people call it sacrifice. I mean,
that. It's gonna spark something in you no matter what, right? Where you're just like, Like, oh, like you almost like, am I?
Should I be looking at this?
Yeah, it's like, especially if you wrestling hotbed in the South, Bible Belt. There's a lot of people that are watching that probably going,
oh my,
I don't know if
the kids should be.
No, and like there's a lot of mamas walking through like, I don't,
Is are they being sacrificed?
Yes, where's Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior at? Where's the vitamins and saying your prayers?
Yeah,
And
there were a lot of prayers probably needed to be said.
yeah, and you're over there, crucifying Stephanie McMahon, and
Now, crucify is a little strong. I'm just saying,
but it's that because now you're tapping into a different uncomfortable than you did when you walked out first as the Undertaker. Now you're tapping into a moral aspect of a person. Morally,
yes.
are they going to? Because now all of a sudden, if I pull for the ministry of darkness, does that make me a Satan worshiper?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Am I allowed to do this? Should I be doing this?
Yeah. And that was the whole intent of it, is to make people like either they're disgusted and want somebody to come along that can put a stop to it.
Yeah.
Stone Cold or whoever, or like I can make something that's half-ass satanic cool. and I'll be damned if that's not what happened. It's crazy, but it's funny. But just, as time evolves, people, the things that shock you in 1990, in the year 2000 or 1998 or whenever it is, it's people have evolved and things are different.
Yeah.
And so you have
Internet is available.
You have to, if you want to be relevant and you want to be, if you want to be involved in the mix, man, you've got to figure out ways to separate yourself from everybody else. And the character is somewhat, is somewhat boxed in. So, how do I make this guy even more evil or demonic or however, however you want to look at it. So it was everything was obviously very intentional. Put a lot of thought into it. Had a lot of back and forths with creative.
I was about to say, was there ever a pushback where anyone said, do you really think you should do that?
Yeah, no. And everything was questioned. Like it was, but it was also that time period where, let's do it.
You're just pushing everything to the limit.
They're going to react out of this. There's either one way or another. They're going to react, and that's exactly what happened. And I think it got over. I think it got over so well. That's how the corporate ministry ended up getting involved in it, because it was so unique. And obviously,
do you think that the ministry, because it lasted for right at a year, I think, from what I read, do you think that 1 year was the right time frame, or do you feel like it had legs to go 2, 3, 4 years?
It definitely had the legs to go on if we hadn't if it hadn't got watered down the way it did. I think it was probably a 2, maybe 3 year run out of that. I think there was so much that we still had left that we could have done to push the envelope and people to work with. But it had its place, and it had its place in my run, and I'm pretty proud of it, because it came at a time where I really felt like I needed an evolution, and I think it resonated. So,
And I think some of your maybe some of your best wardrobe, like the dusters, all that stuff, like you definitely had a distinct look during that time. where you look like you were a leader of a cult, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And was there a lot of thought and time put into coming up with that look of yourself?
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, you always I always wanted to keep elements. Always wanted to keep just a few elements of the original, just to hold my roots, but be able to expand. And when I started going to I always call them the Hellraiser jackets. You know, the long coats with the sleeveless and the studs and the straps and everything. It was a very distinct look. Still screamed Undertaker, but it was a different Undertaker. It was this. There was a lot of emphasis put in the imagery of what we were trying to do, what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
You know, I was again in that era where I was trying to set myself apart make myself different from anything else that was going on out there. So,
whose idea was it to bring Stephanie McMahon into the storyline?
I want to say, you know, just the story evolved with Vince, and then obviously I end up kidnapping Stephanie and intend on marrying her and all of that, and so you know, remember lighting the teddy bear on fire, you know, is letting Vince know, you know, he's got everybody, all the security in the building watching his daughter, and I still am able to get to her, and you know, the infamous "Where to, Stephanie" line. I mean, it's just you know, so much, so fun. But you know, Stephanie was a different Stephanie then too, right? That was kind of the beginning of her, because she still had that innocent, kind of almost little girl type presence about her at that point.
The boss's daughter.
The boss's sweet little daughter. And now this, you know, the boogeyman, Satan, has got his eyes on the boss's daughter. So, you know, I think that kind of resonated with people and made people uncomfortable. And even though it was Vince, it was still like sweet little Stephanie.
Yeah.
And you know, Satan's after her.
And I mean, probably for the first time in a long time, people were siding with Vince all of a sudden.
It was because a lot of it early on, you know, it creeped people out. Like they were like, man, he's taking this too far, kind of thing. And you know, and it didn't really become like super cool till later on. Like, oh man, I love the Ministry of Darkness. It was, you know, it was this and it was that.
Yeah.
But while it was going on, people were like, I don't know about that, man. Huh? That's a little much right there.
You know what I think is amazing is essentially the Ministry of Darkness, what you guys were doing week after week. I mean, you only had so many minutes to tell the story.
Right.
And it was a story, though, that could have been a movie, you know, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you could make a movie out of this.
Right.
But y'all were able to tell these stories within minutes to where people would be so freaked out, and it was so sometimes like stretching, you know, the limits, or going, you know, to the edge to a point where like, and the fact that y'all were able to condense it down to where you're able to get it done such a small amount of time was, I think, maybe one of the most impressive things.
You know what?
It's not a promo you're cutting on a mic, you know, for
a lot of
minutes.
credit. I have to give a lot of credit to the road crews, man, to set all that up, to set my throne up, and to have all the candles and all that stuff. That all has to be done within a TV break.
Yeah.
And then come back so that you have time to get your, you know, promo out and say what you have to say, or do what you have to do as far as putting somebody up on the symbol. I tell you, I will say this from now till the end of time, that the WWE's production crew there's nobody. I don't think there's anybody that can touch them.
Yeah.
I mean, for what they have to do in the time period in which they have to do it, it makes our job so much easier. And I don't think those guys get nearly enough credit for the work that they do.
Especially when you're talking about the over the top stuff like y'all were doing with so much props, you know, that y'all were using and everything
There's
else.
a lot of things that had to be moved around, and you know, altars brought out, the throne brought out, and the candles, the fire, everything had to be perfect, and
And to be able to tell the story in a TV segment like y'all did, because it couldn't be rushed. You know what I mean? Like it's not a fast-paced story.
Oh no,
it's a little bit slower. It's a little bit more methodical. You got to let something soak in. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I'm very impressed with that, to be able to tell this. And I was thinking about this, I think last night. It's, you know, during the Attitude Era and during all that stuff, like everybody had this thing that they were doing that everyone loved.
Right.
There wasn't like a character that like everybody just like was like, there was no just throwaway thing.
Right.
Everything
had a meaning.
It had a meaning. And I thought to myself, the audience had to be exhausted every night at the end of the night.
Oh man, yeah.
Like I could only imagine, like I felt like if I went to a Raw during when you guys were just killing it, right? I feel like at the end of the night, I would have had to have sat down for 5 minutes before leaving.
Yeah. They brought, I mean, that during that whole period of time, man, the fans were, you go back and just look at the crowds, the amount of signs that people had, and just the energy level, it was crazy.
Yeah.
When that glass broke, brother.
But what y'all were doing as well was the reason why the fans were the way they were. And it was every segment was a banger. As Seamus says, it was banger after banger after banger. There was never a bad match. Monday Night Raw was pay-per-view material every week.
Yeah.
And I got to thinking, I was like, the crowds had to be
they were drained by the end of the night.
By the end of the night. Like they just saw so much happen.
It's an emotional roller coaster from the ballyhoo with the fireworks to the bally. It was just like, oh, they take them up and they bring them down and they take them back up.
And then I was thinking, like, when did you go to the bathroom? When did you go get a snack if you were there? Because like there was a moment, like you didn't want to miss a moment because you never knew what was going to happen.
You never knew what was going to happen. So you better empty the bladder during the dark matches, because you're not going to want to get up once the show starts. Yeah.
And you know, you talk about, or people talk about the women's matches early on, where it was like, oh, that was the matches you go get during the Attitude Era. That was the matches I wanted to watch, because you never know. I was crossing my fingers that we would have a Janet Jackson
wardrobe malfunction.
So it was just, I just thought about the fans. I was like, my God, they had to be exhausted during that time. You guys were, and I'm, you know, with Godfather being in town and stuff, and I was like, these guys were just blowing the roof off every single night, and.
Man, too, though, there was so much energy from the crowd. We fed off of that energy as well.
Yeah.
So, and then it was just vice versa. They, you know, we're feeding off their energy, and then obviously we're giving our full commitment and energy back to them. So everybody was gassed at the end of a Monday Night Raw.
And y'all had to be like, if you went out and just had a banger, the crowd's going wild, the girls are throwing their bras and panties in the ring and all that stuff, you had to walk to gorilla position and just like look at the next person and just be like, that had to be so fun. That had to be.
That was probably, to me, one of the coolest parts of it, because everyone in that, especially of the top guys, everybody was reaching for that brass ring. Okay, so even if the hierarchy was Austin and Rock and Triple H, and Kurt, myself, it's like everybody was fighting for that top spot. And that, as you know, like that kind of competition, it makes you better.
Yeah.
Because if Austin's the top guy, you want to stay on top.
Yeah.
If you're Rock coming up, like, man, I'm right there. I'm nipping at his heels. So that drives Rock to be better. It drives Stone Cold to be better because Stone Cold wants to hang on to that number one spot. Now here you've got Kurt and Triple H right there, and it was such a awesome, healthy competition.
Yeah.
When you talk about wrestling's not a true competition. Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It truly is. It's different in the sense of how it is a competition. But man, it was like everyone, Mick, everybody was trying their best to.
At the end of a great show, especially the top guys, those top 5, 6 guys, did y'all look at each other and be like, all right, we killed it tonight, good job? Or is it more now you look, because at the time maybe it was, I'm in this competition, I don't necessarily want to, but is it now you look back at it and go, man, deep down, I was happy that this guy had a great match because it helped me out? Or was it at the time were you saying, hey man, good job tonight, or any of that stuff?
No, yeah, everybody. There was again, there was that part in you that, man, I want to be the guy.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, man, I hope he stumbles or I hope.
Yeah.
I hope he bumbles up his promo tonight and he sucks. And it wasn't any of that because, one, we had to fight our way back to being the top show.
Yeah.
And that, getting our asses kicked, through the Monday Night Wars.
That was motivation.
That freaking lit a fire under all of us.
Yeah.
And then once we finally got back to where we should be. And man, by then we just
I would imagine it was more those, you 5, 6 guys. It was the nights when you didn't blow the roof off the place, or maybe somebody didn't do their job. Maybe not one of them, but maybe there was somebody else that wrestled. And I would imagine it was more of you maybe have a conversation with them of, hey, that's not going to happen again tomorrow.
Yeah,
we're gonna bring it every night.
Yeah, and for the most part, everybody during that time period was, they were
on their A game.
Yeah, they knew what their job was. They knew what they had to do, and there wasn't a lot. I'm sure there was, but there wasn't a lot of guys that were screw ups that showed up and were messed up and didn't do a little bit of it, not a lot. There was a pride. We took a lot of pride in the fact that we got our asses stomped in the ratings by the other company, and that crew of guys that brought it back took a lot of pride in the fact that we did, and then obviously we put the other company out of business.
Yeah. And you look at how many Hall of Famers came out of that time period as well. I mean, it was
everybody.
Yeah.
It was just stacked, right?
Yeah. It was inevitable that you guys were going to.
It was only a matter of time.
Yeah.
No. It truly was just a matter of time. You knew. You knew down there. You could just see it. There was too many egos. There were too many. There were too many chiefs and not enough, there wasn't enough soldiers there, and it was going to implode.
Yeah.
And it did. And, but it was great. It was absolutely the best thing that ever happened, I think, to professional wrestling was the Monday Night Wars.
Absolutely.
It was probably us getting our asses handed to us was the best thing that ever happened.
It's competition brings out the best in everybody.
Again, yeah, and before that, we had to, and we still have to create our own competition.
Yeah,
But when you have somebody that's a true competitor, man, that was fun, man.
Yeah. And I think even, speaking on that part, I mean, what ECW did and Paul Heyman and all that stuff, I mean, it just, all of that was really good for the sport.
Yeah.
And that's where, it made you better. It made your colleagues better in that locker room. It lit that fire under you, made you want to, beat those guys. And then once I think y'all were able to get all the pieces together, and but I just think that what y'all did with the ministry and everything else, and just that whole little time period of wrestling, I think is very interesting.
Yeah, it was so much fun. Like, because you came out of that, we got there was a couple of time periods in there, like when Hogan left and Nash left and Razor left, and the guys, us that stayed behind, man, business was, it was tough. It was tough, man. It really was.
And it's hard because what they're doing. They're going down there. They're getting paid. They got a little bit lighter of a schedule.
A lot lighter of a schedule. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is like, in hindsight, you go, man, I can't really blame them.
No.
But
you have to. Everybody has to make the decision that's right for them.
Yeah.
And if you can make as much money or more money and do less work in a job that requires physical output, and your body is your tool. I mean, it's just something you really have to sit down and evaluate. Like, and I don't know if my situation had been different, if WCW hadn't have told me that I wasn't going to draw any money, I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's interesting to think about. Yeah.
But the fact that they told me, you're never going to make money, that was always my chip. That was always the chip that I carried on my shoulder. And, even when they called and I'm say, hey, I remember Nash calling me. He said, man, I think I can get you this if you want to come down. And I was like, wow, that's a lot more money than I'm making right now.
So you got the call from Nash?
Oh yeah. And I thought about it, and I was like, no. It just came down. That's what it came down to for me. Is that guy there gave me the opportunity, not Nash. I'm talking about Vince.
Yeah.
This guy gave me the opportunity, and this may be the worst decision I ever make, but he gave me the opportunity to become something, and I just couldn't do it. And I would have made more money. I would have worked a lot less, and I would have probably been in a situation where I would have been welcomed back. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the fact that I stayed, got my ass kicked. We all got our asses kicked, and then turned it all around, and then probably made the greatest comeback ever. Man, it was really rewarding.
Absolutely. And you built a legacy that's going to live well beyond, 10 lifetimes.
Yeah.
And that says a lot right there. I mean, money's one thing, but it's to be able to have that legacy, and and you didn't compromise maybe your morals or beliefs or whatever to go do that. I think that says a lot about you as a person as well.
Yeah, I mean, everybody told me a lot. Not everybody, but a lot of people told me, man, dude, you need to go. You need to take the money. And and the thing too. Now, on top of all of that, for part of that time period, before Austin had taken off and all that, like, I'm extremely frustrated with our creative, because they had already started with this more, realistic and more just real tone to it, and we still got all these ridiculous type characters, and we're catering to a younger demographic than what's watching the product on a regular basis. So I'm extremely frustrated.
And you fall into that category at that time of being one of those characters. But what I'm saying there is you fall in that category, but you're going, we need to make a change, and that includes me.
Yeah.
Like we need to do something different here.
Yeah, that was key. And we weren't. And it was extremely frustrating.
And you're willing to make that change. You're willing to do something different to be able to go beat the other product.
Yeah. And eventually everybody got on the same page. And
so before we wrap this up, I just want to make sure, have you asked for forgiveness for all of your evil doings as
all the people that I sacrificed?
Minister of Darkness?
You've
atoned for your sins?
I think I've atoned.
Okay.
I always ask, McCool to, put an extra word in for me too.
She's pretty close.
She's close to the man.
Yeah.
So
it's so funny that Michelle is, she's this devout Christian, and you're a man of God now as well. But it's like, and then you look back on that stuff and you're like, whoo,
yeah,
wow.
Man, it's a good thing she was in elementary back then. Oh man! Oh, Cradle
well, Mark,
Robert.
Another great episode, man. I'm glad we were able to. I'm being educated a lot on your career during that time frame, and the Ministry of Darkness is definitely one of those that I know the fans love. They ask a lot of questions about it. They're always making comments about it, and it's a part of your career that I don't know a lot about. And I'm scared to watch some of those videos, especially at night. And so I've got to watch them like in the middle of the day, well-lit room, all of those things.
Yeah, we were a little dark.
But it definitely put a mark on the business that people remember.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot right there to be able to do that. And that's what matters.
That's what you try to do.
Yeah. Well, till next week.
Maybe.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Fingers crossed, never know. All right, man. I appreciate it.